Welcome back to the Liquid Loans channel. I'm your host, Paul Matt, and we are joined by Christian Ajoa. Guys, Christian, thank you for joining today. How are you doing?
I'm really well, Paul. Good to see you.
It's great to see you as well, Christian. I appreciate you joining today. And we have a lot to cover. Probably a lot that people are curious about. Some changes to the channel. We're now back with Liquid Loans. You're doing a lot of traveling, a lot of great things for the brand here. So definitely want to dive in, pick your brain a little bit, Christian, if that's all right. And yeah, maybe you can say some
Absolutely.
good things to the crowd as well, but appreciate you joining today.
Yeah. No, I appreciate the opportunity, Paul. So, Paul, I think you know that we've look at a little bit of context around why the hell did we have to change back, etc. And I think partly this is all to do with YouTube was throttling the content, so it just wasn't helping the Liquid Loans channel, and it certainly wasn't helping the Coin Zone. So basically, we're bringing the content back to Liquid Loans. But more importantly, it also means that the Coin Zone can continue on its journey as required. And I think there's a little bit of context behind, well, why are we doing all of this? Well, partly because look, Liquid Loans is its own project, its own brand. It is important for us to keep promoting the message of never selling and what Liquid Loans is all about. So it kind of makes sense that we'll have some content specifically about Liquid Loans. But more broadly, the whole concept around the Coin Zone, and this kind of speaks to a little bit of what Richard Hart has been saying for quite some time now, and that is we need to be promoting. We need to be promoting what it is that PulseChain is all about. And it's really important to do that to a much broader audience. So the context and the intent of the Coin Zone, Paul, as you know, is that we're trying to reach a much broader audience. So the topics that we'll cover aren't just exclusive to PulseChain. They're more general in nature. And it's really important that we're reaching a DeFi sort of community as well as TradFi. And I think that's the other aspect of this, is to make sure that we're reaching a much broader audience and introducing them to not just PulseChain, but some of what we're doing, but it's having that broader reach. So the content is much broader, and that's the intent. And that's the reason why we've separated the two, to be frank.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys can actually find the new channel by just searching thecoinzone.com. It's right on YouTube, or by going to the pinned comment right in this video. So make sure to look for that afterwards. But Christian, also, what are we doing with this Liquid Loans channel from here on out? We have the Coin Zone. We're doing educational, like you said, a broader type, content base there. But tell me what's going to be happening here again on the Liquid Loans channel.
Yeah, well, I think, again, it'll be much more specific to PulseChain and the sort of things that we're doing for PulseChain. So not just Liquid Loans necessarily content, but more specific to PulseChain. And again, the intent there is to make sure that people are aware of the fundamental ethos as to what the hell Liquid Loans was about. And something that's been a little bit lost in the community is the notion of never selling. And some people have taken that on board and understood the context of that. And they've looked at it and thought, well, okay, we never want to sell our pulse. But incidentally, it also meant never selling your loan token. And there's a whole bunch of reasons for that. But to answer your question specifically, it's really intended to be a platform to enable us to promote not just Liquid Loans, but also elements of PulseChain as well.
Yeah, great. So let's stay there and talk about PulseChain for a little bit. One exciting thing people might have missed, you actually spoke at the HODL 2025 event, formerly the World Blockchain Summit. So tell me how that was. You not only spoke about PulseChain, you spoke about Liquid Loans as well. So how was that?
Yeah, look, look, it has been a while since I've presented in that sort of forum. I mean, I've come from a background of being able to do that and not feeling too uncomfortable doing it, but it was a really exciting opportunity to actually present what it is that Liquid Loans is all about, but more importantly, to also flag that, hey, we're on PulseChain. And again, it's just trying to reach a much broader community. And look, the message was, it resonated. It really did resonate with the audience there. And the nice thing about that particular conference is that it's a mixture of TradFi, DeFi, and again, it's a much broader community. It's not just PulseChain specific. So again, it's just trying to get the message out to a broader community, and it was really, really well received. So really happy that we had the opportunity of sponsoring that, and really happy that we also had the opportunity of showcasing what we've been doing on PulseChain.
Great. Yeah, and we actually have a quick little reel to show you guys from that speech. So let's go ahead and look at that real quick.
My name is Christian Ajoa. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Liquid Loans. We help people stop making probably what I consider the worst decision in crypto, and that is selling far too soon. Crypto is full of bittersweet stories. Ironically, it's actually not the losses that haunt us, it's the victories that we abandon far too soon. Selling early isn't taking profit, it's surrendering your future wealth. It's not just numbers on a screen, it's the missed opportunity to build real long-term wealth. There are protocols like Liquid Loans. You lock up your asset, you borrow against it, you pay 0% interest. On fast modern chains like Base, BSC, PulseChain, this stuff isn't just possible, it's practical. That's the real edge. Hold, borrow, rinse, repeat.
So great. Awesome clip of you speaking there, Christian. Let's just keep it moving here. You talked a little bit about the concept of never selling. So how did you convey that to the audience at that event? How was that? Just letting them know about never selling your loan tokens.
Yeah, look, it's interesting because when you break it down in very simple terms, it's the whole concept of never selling an appreciating asset. It's not just crypto. That concept has been around for centuries, I would argue, and that is that if you have an appreciating asset, you never want to sell it. And historically, people have always leveraged that by borrowing against something. And, there was a number of examples that we provided at the conference, but one aspect that really resonates with a lot of the community is it's like saying, hey, if you want to buy a new car, are you going to sell your house to actually finance the car? Very unlikely, right? So people think, no, why on earth would you do that? Well, it's the same principle. You never sell that appreciating asset, but you borrow against it. You do so in a conservative way, and that enables you to actually acquire the asset that you're after on the basis that the intent is that you're hoping that the underlying asset, the home in this example, is going to continue to appreciate in value. So the loan that you're taking out, effectively, the ratio of the loan to the value of the asset starts to slowly decline. And that's the intent. And I think if you have a look at most of the really extremely wealthy folk, they never, ever, ever sell. And that's the concept that we were portraying at the conference. And that went over really well. People got it. People understood the concept of never selling. And it was a bit of an eye-opener for me because, look, as I said, this concept has been around for a long time, but it seems to have been lost on the crypto audience. Everyone seems to feel like, hey, the only way that I can extract value from crypto is to actually sell my crypto, which is a nonsense from our perspective. But you still need protocols to help you to facilitate borrowing against the underlying asset. And the asset in our example, obviously, is PulseChain. But for a lot of those folk, they're thinking, okay, well, what other opportunities are there for us to look at acquiring not just PulseChain, but other assets that we can actually apply the same principle to?
Cool. And why do you think that is? Why do you think people actually were able to conceptually understand this and it resonated with them in the audience there?
The less generous response would be, because I'm a bit of a dummy and it's easy. If I can explain it to people, then in simple terms, it makes it easier for them to digest that. So you keep it simple. That's the reality is if it's very straightforward, and it is a very straightforward concept, once you've understood it, you can't unsee it, right? So you've understood it, you think, okay, I've seen this now. I can't unsee that. So every time I'm thinking about selling something that I really value, it's going to trigger something that says, hey, maybe I shouldn't be selling this asset at all. Maybe I should borrow against it. So why did it resonate? I think because people get it now, or at least that particular audience certainly do.
Liquid Loans was a platinum sponsor at this event that you spoke at, Christian, that we're talking about.
Yeah.
What made you guys decide to become a platinum sponsor?
I think, look, the timing was right for us to start to sort of promote. And I think part of it is, and we follow Richard. We're sort of, we know that he's gone through his own sort of painful journey. But something that's resonated for us is the fact that, hey, if you want people to use your protocols to use PulseChain, you need to be out there promoting and really doing your best to actually introduce a new audience to not just PulseChain, but obviously to Liquid Loans. And I should say, Paul, that whilst this particular conference was something where we sort of were quite happy to promote and support, we have been doing other things along similar lines prior to that, and we're going to continue to do the same. So this is just one example, but there'll be more of this type of presentations in the future. And again, the intention was, how do we bring more people into liquid loans, but more importantly, into PulseChain as well? And so this was the opportunity of showcasing what we've been developing.
Sounds great to me. And like Christian, before we get you out of here, I'd be remiss if we didn't get a quick market update for you. So from your perspective, what are you seeing from PulseChain at the moment?
Yeah, look, obviously the chain has struggled, and there's a whole bunch of reasons as to why that's occurred. I do believe that, if we're not at bottom, we're pretty close to bottom. And again, it's my view on all of this is just hold tight, things will turn, and more importantly, from our point of view, it's largely up to us to do what is needed to make sure that we're introducing people to PulseChain. One of the things that I did want to mention, and I think it hasn't been lost, but it's kind of been a little bit lost on folk, is that we have a community, right? So PulseChain is a community of people that have obviously aligned very clearly with Richard's ethos, what he has brought to the table with Hex, and obviously being able to launch PulseChain and provide that opportunity for people to transact much cheaper than what they were able to do on Ethereum. I think that's been a really, really important step, and there is a community behind PulseChain and obviously Richard's products. But I actually do believe that there is a real need, sorry, Paul, there is a real need to not just have a community of people that are obviously looking at PulseChain and Hex, but we need a developer community. And so what does that really mean from our point of view? There's a whole bunch of projects that have launched on PulseChain, varying qualities and all the rest of it. But the reality is it's a community of developers. And from our point of view, what was missing was where is the placeholder for actually people to learn about not just PulseChain and information about Richard and some of his products, but the chain more broadly. And if we don't have that, then how do we actually propose to build and continue to build on a chain? Because the chain is only going to survive, I believe, if you have a multiple number of projects developing and deploying on there. So what we've built, and I think a number of the teams that have aligned with us are on the site. It's called gopulsechain.com. It speaks about everything PulseChain. It also speaks to everything Richard Hart. But more importantly, it also identifies all the projects that have connected with this site and helps to promote those individual projects and the benefits that they provide to the broader community. So in a way, we're trying to build a community of developers, and it also facilitates anyone else coming in thinking, hey, look at all these projects. Hey, there's a whole bunch of DeFi projects. There's a whole bunch of other meme coins. There's a whole bunch of decentralized exchanges. There's information there that people can have a look at and then provide further content if they are a developer, and it just helps them. So I think building that community is equally as important, and I think gopulsechain.com does that. The other thing that I wanted to highlight is, for a bit of fun, there's a leaderboard of all of the influencers that are actually supporting PulseChain. And I think you're going to see, there are probably no surprises here, but Somi's at the top of the list. I think Crypto Coffee is also on that list. And those two guys in particular have been doing so much work in just promoting and doing what they need to do for PulseChain. And having that sort of content in that leaderboard, whilst it's a bit of fun, it also says, hey, there's a whole bunch of influencers out there that you should probably look to connect with. Another one that comes to mind is Crypto7, right? So Crypto7's on that particular list. And these guys are doing what they need to do to help promote the chain and promote PulseChain more broadly. But again, this one site, gopulsechain.com, actually helps with that. And in addition to that, and again, something that a lot of people aren't completely aware of, is the fact that whilst we launched Liquid Loans, we've also developed some other projects as well. Probably one that goes a little bit unnoticed is it's basically PulseChain Safe, right? So in effect, we've developed a Gnosis equivalent on PulseChain. So if you want to have a multi-sig and use a multi-sig on PulseChain, you basically have access to PulseChain Safe and be able to create a multi-sig. So that's already deployed. It's been running for quite some time. We use it for some of our deployments. But again, that's another tool that's available. And probably a more recent one that we've not really talked too much about, but we'll certainly come back to, and that's Fetch Oracle. So again, chains require information from off-chain and on-chain data. So having an Oracle service is really important for people that are developing on the chain. So the oracle that we've deployed, again, is a decentralized one, and it's called Fetch. And if people are interested in Fetch, they should have a look at Fetch. There are a number of people providing reports now and providing information for other developers to consume. So Fetch Oracle is another nice tool that the community can take advantage of. And they're the sort of things that we're doing. We do a lot of that sort of stuff in the background. Mind you, we probably should have done a little bit more around Fetch, and we'll get around to speaking a bit more about that. But there's a hell of a lot of other things that we're looking to deploy, and there's some information coming out very soon that I think the community will benefit from. But I've rambled on a little bit, Paul, but I guess it's really important for people to understand that for a chain to really grow and develop, I think you need a community of developers, and you need a platform for them to actually be able to connect. And the reason why we created GoPulseChain.com was to do that exactly. And so from our point of view, we're doing everything we can to try and promote PulseChain. Obviously, we have a vested interest in the things that we're deploying on the chain, such as liquid loans and Fetch, and there'll be more of that to come. But it's really important that we have a community of developers and they know about all these other projects and the information that they can garner from some of those projects, particularly things like Fetch.
Yeah, so you did a great job answering my last question for me as well, Christian. So, and again, this definitely not rambling. We love to hear the perspective here on liquid loans, and I'm sure the audience does as well. So let's just end it here, and I want to ask you, what do you think the biggest thing for liquid loans to accomplish over the next 12 months would be in your eyes?
Yeah, I think as we grow, and we will continue to grow, is if I had to hand on heart, I'd have to say we try to communicate the concept of never selling to people as best we could, but people just focused on half of the equation. They focused on the PulseChain side. They didn't focus on the loan token itself. And so typically people look at a token value and think, oh my goodness, the value of the token's not where it needs to be. We're not happy about that. But incidentally, we are intimately tied to what's happening on PulseChain. So we'd expect that and you probably can have a look at the charts, whatever happens to the price of Pulse, we are intimately tied to that. So the loan token will tend to fluctuate according to what's happening with Pulse more broadly. So I do think on the flip side, it will actually help and improve the performance of loan as PulseChain starts to recover. And so I think that's what you're going to see in the future. And again, we would say, and this is again the bit that we probably should have explained much more, is don't sell your loan token. And the reason why you don't sell your loan token is because if you stake your loan token, you basically acquire more of what you really do value in this community, and that's Pulse. So by staking Pulse, the system will basically accumulate, by staking your loan token, you'll basically accumulate more Pulse as part of that process. And the reason for that is that's the way the protocol works. So if you want to acquire more Pulse, and incidentally, people that have been doing that, and despite the fact that the loan token is where it's at, I think there has been close to $12 million worth of Pulse that has been acquired by people that have taken out a vault and have staked their loan token. And just by doing that, they've been able to acquire more Pulse in the process. And so that's a really good outcome as far as we're concerned. Despite the fact that the loan token's where it's at, people have been acquiring more of what they valued. And from our point of view, that was always the intention, is to never sell Pulse, but also never sell your loan token, because it is the instrument that helps you to basically acquire more of what you really value, and that's your Pulse. So hopefully that explains a little bit more and why we're not overly concerned about the price of loan because of that reason. People that are using the protocol as it was intended have actually acquired a significant amount during that period that we've launched.
Well, you heard it here first, guys. Never sell your Pulse. Never sell your loan token. Christian, we really appreciate the time here on the channel. Know you're a busy guy. Always love to hear your perspective. So thank you for joining us today. Any last words you want to say to the audience?
I just think, look, just be mindful that we have a community. There's people out there such as Somi, Crypto Coffee and others that are doing their best to try and promote the chain. The best thing we can do is to actually come together as a community to do exactly that. But in addition to that, we'll do our bit to try and build more tools and utility, and also assist other projects through the likes of GoPulseChain.com to help them promote what they're doing as well. So community and a community of developers is what's required going forward.
Great. Well, thank you again, Christian. Guys, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. Make sure to like this video. Share the video with anybody you think would get value from this, would learn from this. And again, guys, never sell your tokens. But once again, this is Liquid Loans. I'm your host, Paul Matt. We'll see you guys in the next video.